Timeline 2. The Age of Arcane Guilds and Shifting Lands. The sudden transition from the sleek, silent sky cities to a world of vibrant, chaotic natural energy was jarring. Elias found himself amidst towering, glowing crystals that pulsed with an inner light, illuminating a landscape of bizarre, twisted flora. The air thrummed with raw magic, a sensation almost overwhelming after the sterile precision of the Solarian era. He was no longer on a polished pathway but on rough, crystal-infused earth. The Chronos orb still warmed his hand, its glow now harmonizing with the surrounding magical energies. He observed that the land itself seemed alive, shifting and undulating as if breathing. Massive landmasses floated in the air, connected by bridges of solidified arcane energy, sometimes momentarily disconnecting and reconnecting in new configurations. This was a world shaped by magic, where gravity seemed more of a suggestion than a rule. The inhabitants of this era were entirely different again. They were humans, but their bodies were often adorned with glowing runes, their eyes frequently held a faint magical shimmer, and their attire was a blend of rich fabrics and enchanted artifacts. They moved with a confident, almost theatrical grace, wielding staves that crackled with elemental power or arcane symbols that floated around their hands. They were mages, sorcerers, and warlocks, and their society was built around powerful arcane guilds. Elias, still in his ancient leather, stood out even more. His lightning, however, now felt more at home, resonating with the ambient magical energy, enhancing his powers in ways he hadn't experienced before. He quickly learned that anomalies in this age were not just monstrous creatures, but often entities of pure magical distortion, chaotic beings of raw energy that fed on the ley lines that crisscrossed the world. He soon encountered a group of mages from the Azure Serpent Guild, who were struggling to contain a rogue mana wraith, a swirling vortex of unstable magic that was draining the life from a crystal forest, turning the vibrant land to ash. Their spells, though potent, seemed to only feed the wraith, making it grow larger and more erratic. A young mage, barely older than Finn's great-grandchildren had been, with fiery red hair and eyes that sparked with unspent magical energy, stood at the forefront. Her name was Kaelin, and she was clearly a prodigy, but her frustration was evident as her most powerful spells dissipated against the wraith. "It's feeding on our magic," Kaelin exclaimed, gritting her teeth. "We need something outside of the ley lines." Elias, who had been observing from a distance, saw his opportunity. His lightning was not arcane magic, it was a primal, raw force. He stepped forward, drawing the attention of Kaelin and her guild members. They looked at his archaic clothing with disdain, but the powerful hum of the Chronos orb and the faint crackle of lightning around his hands made them pause. "Stand aside," Elias commanded, his voice deep and resonant. "Your magic only makes it stronger. This thing needs a different kind of touch." Kaelin scoffed, but the desperate situation and the strange, compelling aura around Elias made her hesitate. "And what kind of touch would that be, old man?" Before she could finish, Elias erupted. He launched himself towards the mana wraith, not with spells, but with pure, unadulterated lightning. The raw, temporal-infused electricity was indeed an external force, something the mana wraith couldn't absorb or comprehend. It shrieked, a sound of pure agony, as Elias's bolts tore through its form. The mages watched in stunned silence as Elias became a blur of blue and white, his lightning arsing and snapping, not just striking the wraith, but disrupting its internal structure. He wasn't just damaging it, he was unraveling it, dismantling its very essence with his unique energy signature. The Mana Wraith, deprived of its fuel source and assaulted by an alien power, began to shrink, its chaotic energy dissipating into harmless wisps. With a final, concentrated blast, Elias obliterated the last vestiges of the Wraith, leaving behind only the crisp smell of ozone and a revitalized crystal forest that began to regain its vibrant colors. The mages of the Azure Serpent Guild stared, their mouths agape, their staves forgotten. Kaelin, her face a mixture of awe and disbelief, slowly approached him. By the ancients, what are you? That wasn't arcane magic. It was raw power, untamed. Elias merely smiled, a familiar wariness settling over him. After the exertion, a different kind of energy. I've fought creatures like that before. They just need to be reminded of what they're not. Word of Elias's temporal lightning spread rapidly throughout the arcane guilds. They were fascinated by his unique power, which seemed to bypass their intricate magical defenses and strike at the core of anomalies. He was invited to countless guild halls, asked to demonstrate his abilities, and even given the honorary title of Storm Weaver by the Grand Conclave of Mages. He spent months in this timeline, not just fighting anomalies, but learning from the mages. He understood how their ley lines worked, how they channeled and amplified energy. He, in turn, taught them about the nature of anomalies, their weaknesses beyond just magical countermeasures, and how to detect temporal distortions that might foreshadow even greater threats. He even began to incorporate some of their energy channeling techniques into his own lightning, making it even more precise and devastating. During this time, Elias also encountered fragments of ancient prophecies and legends about a being who walked between worlds, wielding light from the sky against the encroaching darkness. Some texts even hinted at a Chronos artifact that facilitated such journeys. He realized he was not just a hunter, he was becoming a figure of myth. A constant presence woven into the fabric of history itself, albeit one that continually shifted. One day, while meditating near a powerful ley line nexus with Kaelin, the Chronos orb pulsed violently, pulling at him. He knew it was time to move on. Kaelin, now a powerful sorceress in her own right, sensed the shift. You're leaving, aren't you, Storm Weaver? She asked, a hint of sadness in her voice, but also understanding. Elias nodded. My path lies elsewhere. But you and your guilds are ready. You have the knowledge, and now, a new perspective. He left them not with a goodbye, but with a legacy of enhanced understanding and a broadened approach to their world's threats. As he stepped into the next temporal rift, he carried with him a deeper understanding of energy, both primal and arcane, a fusion that made his S-class powers even more formidable.